Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Travelling Sewist. I'm Lexi and this is the interview series where I travel Australia and bring you inspirational stories from sewists and creatives along the way. Thank you so much for tuning in so far. It has been fantastic. Don't forget to like and subscribe so I can continue to make these episodes for you. And today's interviewee has decided to donate a pattern of your choice to the winner of today's giveaway. So when you see the code word, make sure you comment it below and good luck. Hi Lauren, how are you going?
Good, how are you?
Good, lovely to finally meet you.
It is so good to meet you.
Do you want to give everyone a bit of an intro of yourself?
Ooh, myself as a person or myself as a business?
Bit of
Kind of
both.
intertwined. All right. I'm Lauren. I run Tadah Patterns and have done for almost 10 years now, which is just crazy to think. Oh, that's a lot of my life. Apart from that, I'm a mum of 3 girls, live near the beach. So we're always out and about doing things, going down to the beach, a lot of outdoor time.
What made you get into the pattern business? Because it's not just patterns, is it? Because you do have fabrics as well.
Well, not so much fabrics anymore. I did do some fabrics, kind of dabbled in fabrics, but it just wasn't for me. I just found that whenever I was posting things with the fabrics, I would focus on the patterns and forget to even mention that there was fabrics that I was selling too. I was a terrible fabric retailer. So I stopped doing that. I went, no, that's not for me. I'll go back to what I love and what I think I do best. So yeah, there's not so much fabric anymore. I started as a handmade business. So I was just making things to sell at markets and online and whatnot. And then couldn't find a pattern for what I wanted. So I came up with my own and people asked where it was from. And so I was like, oh, maybe I could just come out with a pattern. And it was such a big learning curve. But I did that. The butterfly tea dress, that was my first pattern. And it went really well. So I thought maybe I could make a go of this. So I stopped making actual items to sell and just did a big flip and started selling patterns instead.
What's one thing that not many people know about you?
Ooh, that's a good question. Not many people know. Oh, maybe they do know this because I did advertise it on the Tadah page quite a bit, but it was a long time ago. So maybe people have forgotten. I once ran 100 kilometers for charity. So it took 18 hours. We were running through the bush for 18 hours, myself and 3 of my crazy friends. And that was quite an experience. So maybe that's something people don't know.
What motivated you for that one?
One of my friends said, I've got this idea. I know you don't like running, but I do love a challenge. So she got me on that. She said, I've got a challenge. It involves running, but it's so much more than that. And I was like, oh, all right. But I don't like running. Like everyone that knows me knows I hate running. But I love being out in nature. And so it was a trail run. So it was through the bush and like beautiful scenery and just, yeah, that kind of serenity. And so she got me. And we did a couple of trail runs. And I was like, oh no, I really enjoy this. But they were short ones, like 20 to 30 kilometers, not 100 kilometers. But it was fun. It was a good experience. And it was definitely a challenge.
That's a long run if you don't like running.
I know, right?
So whereabouts are you based for people that don't know Tadah Patterns?
Yeah, we're on the northern beaches of Sydney. So if you've got the map of Sydney, right up the top, there's this little point where there's Palm Beach, which people know because of Summer Bay, home and away. We're just 2 beaches down from that. So right up the top of the northern beaches.
It's a beautiful area up there.
It is lovely.
Well, actually, now you're down there now for me because I've moved. I was in Melbourne and now I'm in Queensland. So, yeah.
Yeah, you just skipped us, went all the way around.
we just skimmed past you, unfortunately, this trip.
Yeah, maybe we'll catch you next time.
Oh, it'd be great too. Yeah, no, it would be really nice. Now, do you only work out of your house or do you have a studio? Where are you right now?
Right now, I'm in my home studio, which is a big room underneath our garage. So our house is kind of on a hill and the garage is at the top. So there's a studio underneath the garage and then you go down to my house. So it's detached, but at our house. Yeah.
Is that where you started out?
I started in our house, like a home-based business, and then I moved to a shop when my older two went to school, and it was a really good fit. It was 100 meters from their school, so they would just wander down after school, get an ice cream, hang out while I finish my work. It was perfect. But then I got pregnant with Sia, and I had 6 months of bed rest, and I couldn't get to my shop anymore. I was literally just laying in bed for 6 months. So I had to give up that space and make some changes.
Oh,
Turns out that toddlers don't like hanging out at shops all day. So yeah, but that's all right. It's a different phase of life. I'll get back there when, maybe when she starts school, maybe in 3 years' time. We'll see. It was a nice stage.
So how old are all your kids?
So Sia's 2.5. And then I've got Asali, who's 11, and Isla's 13.
So you said you've been doing it for 10 years, this business. You were doing handmade stuff before that. Was it having your kids that actually motivated you for this? Like, what is your actual background before kids and before Tadah?
Yeah, right. It was the kids that got me going. Isla, when she was a baby. And back then, I don't know if you remember, ruffle bums were the thing. Like, they were huge. And I made her some ruffle bums and fell in love and was like handmade ever since, really. But before having kids, I was a primary school teacher. So that's my background. And I used to run a little swim school. So yeah, just teaching. Teaching was what I've always done. So I guess I've kind of gone teaching, but in the sewing area now. Still teaching people something, but yeah, very different to teaching kids.
Oh, wow. I've always wanted to be a school teacher. So like that totally I can never say the right word, resonates with me. When did you start sewing then? Was all of this the start of your sewing journey, or did you have like grandparents or mom or anything like that started it off?
Oh yeah. I started sewing when I was really little. I don't even know when, like as long as I can remember. My mum made all our clothes. We didn't have much money. So, that was the thing that you did back then. And my dad can also sew, which always surprises people because he was a parachute instructor. So he was literally like repairing his parachutes, sewing to save his life. Both my parents can sew, although my dad, I don't know that he remembers very much of it now, but so I always grew up with sewing machines in the house and just knew how to sew. And, I did home ec at school, but I wasn't very good at it and I didn't enjoy it either. I hated it. I wanted to do woodwork instead. So that definitely wasn't a highlight of my sewing career. And then when I had Isla, I just borrowed my mum's machine and was giving things a go, and it all kind of snowballed from there.
That's really cool. And I think from who I've been talking to lately, that is the same story for so many people. And it's the exact story for me as well. Like I started because I was pregnant and I was like, I know the basics of sewing. So let's get this whole pattern thing a go. And actually one of your patterns was one of my first ones, the nappy covers.
Yes.
Love them. I'm actually planning on making some more. Like Lila's now 2, so I'm planning on making some more for her for Christmas.
Yes. I was thinking that for Sia too. Like, ruffle bums for summer will be cute.
Yeah. And now that we're in crazy heat weather up here, I'm like searching for all of these different patterns that I've never had to before. And your catalog of patterns is huge. It's not overwhelming, but you've got a solid amount and you continually bring out more and more. And
I find it overwhelming when I'm like stocking them and I'm like, I don't have space for all these patterns anymore. There's a lot.
Yeah, because you do physical ones as well, don't you? You don't just do the PDF. Do you find it a lot more people are buying more physical or PDF these days?
It's PDF still by far the majority, but certain people, it's always the same names that pop up when I release a new pattern. It's always the same names that order the print ones, and I recognize them. I go, oh yeah, they're back for another printed copy. But definitely PDFs by far the favorite, particularly with projector files and large format files and all the different options people have to print them now. You don't have to do the tiling of the A4 anymore, and it's very different to when I started. Like, it's changed so much in 10 years.
Did you start off with a PDF pattern, or because in 10 years, like, was that a thing back then?
Yeah, it was PDF back then, but it was just tiled, like print it in the A4, stick it all together, that style. And then after a few years, people cottoned on to the large format printing. And that's around the time that I started offering the printed patterns. And I used to offer printed pattern pieces as like an add-on. So you'd buy the PDF and then get the pattern pieces. That was kind of my lead into paper patterns.
Did you do a course or anything?
Well, I have a family friend that's a pattern maker. So she taught me the basics, but I don't actually draft the patterns myself. I did at the start, but it was just so much work. So I have a pattern drafter now that drafts them.
So what's the difference between drafting a pattern then and designing a pattern?
So the drafting is the actual creating of the pattern pieces and, how they all will fit together and whatnot. So what I do is I come up with a design and I send it to the pattern drafter. So it'll be a sketch, usually with some reference photos. Maybe if I've sewn a sample, I'll send her some measurements of the sample and things like that. And then she'll come up with the pattern pieces and send them back to me, which I then test, make adjustments, send that back to her. And it's kind of a to and fro that happens between us until we get it just right in terms of the style lines and the fit and everything. It's kind of a collaborative process between the two of us.
Is that somebody that's close by, or are they like completely removed from where you live?
Completely removed from where I live.
That's so cool. I love technology that we can just be so far away yet so close.
I know. Yeah. I've got the pattern drafters in one area of the world, my illustrators in another area of the world. And there's me. Like, one day I would love to have us all in one room together, but hasn't happened yet.
How many people in your team then?
Those two and myself are the main ones. I did have, you probably remember Tanya, that used to work for me, and I've never been able to find anyone quite like Tanya to replace her. So that spot's still empty.
How do you resist the urge to not put like everything into one pattern? Like when I think of like a dress, you've got, because a lot of the pattern people, like any pattern company these days, you've usually got 2 or 3 different like options within that.
Yeah.
How do you stop yourself from putting 5 different sleeve options in and 3 different skirt lengths and all of that? I don't know how you do it.
Hard. It's so hard, as particularly when the pattern goes into testing and the testers all come up with awesome ideas as well. Oh, we should add this, you should add that, and how good would this be? And I'm like, oh my God, I want to put it all in. But the main thing that stops me is the fact that I do printed patterns and it'll just blow out. Like, the amount of pattern pages would be too many. So that's a restriction that usually pulls me back down and goes, no, you need to maybe keep it to a couple of options. But I think people get overwhelmed if there's too many options, particularly if those options then change the construction. So then the tutorial gets bigger and more complicated as well. So that often is a limiting factor. It's got to be an option that can be constructed in the same way or a similar way so that it's not too confusing.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So you really think about you poor people that are at home going, how do I do this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Usually I start with the process of how to sew it, and then the design kind of has to feed into that. Like, it's got to be easy to make. That's the number one thing. I don't ever want to bring out a pattern where people are like literally pulling their hair out going, I cannot figure this out.
No, because it totally makes it so not fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I've had that experience enough times. It's not fun.
No, that's it. Do you have a favorite pattern to date?
Oh, that's so hard. Usually it's the most recent one. Right now it's probably the street jacket, because I just get so excited every time there's a new pattern. I'm like, oh, this is the coolest thing I've ever made. And then next pattern comes along and I'm like, flushed that one, next one. This is the coolest thing I've ever made. But the street jacket, I think that one is a favorite because my teenager will wear it out of the house, like proudly wear it around town. And like, that's a big thing for a 13-year-old to wear something her mum's made and be proud of it and think this is really cool. That and the surf suit. The surf suit's just, I don't know how old's that now, 4 years. And every summer my kids are begging for them. Like they get at least half a dozen each every summer and wear them to death. So that's probably a favorite as well.
How often do you actually get time to sew for yourself?
For me or for my kids?
Well, a bit of both, yeah. Do you get much time to sew for your own self, for your own sanity?
I don't really sew for myself. No, I sew for my kids. I don't often make things that I want to make. Usually it's whatever they want me to make for them, which is enjoyable as well, because if they love it, then I love making it because it, it brings them joy. And then I'm happy that they're wearing something and they're happy with it. But there's not a lot of time for that either. There's not a lot, no. I mean, you know what it's like. You've got a toddler and work, and that pretty much takes up all the time.
Do you have Sia full time as well at home?
She hangs out with my mum a couple of days a week. And then my husband's parents are here from Canada at the moment. So they've got her 1 day a week. So I've got a few solid work days. And then the other days she comes and hangs out with me, or I work in nap times or whatever.
Oh, the good old nap times.
Yeah. Or I try and do like photo shoots on those days, or, filming a reel or something that's a bit more fun and interactive that she's a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is she being a bit more cooperative now with the reels?
No. I had this sweet spot when she was just starting to talk, but now no. As soon as she sees the camera, she says, "Put the camera away, mummy." Like,
oh, you need like a secret one.
I know. She hates my phone, but if I bring out the big camera, she's usually okay.
Do you find boys or girls more challenging, or do they both have their pros and cons?
I find boys more challenging by far. Partly because I don't have a boy, so I'm not really in touch with styles they like to wear or even what's available on the market already. So I'm a bit out of touch with boys. And I'm really trying to make an effort recently to do more boy-friendly or unisex or just like gender-neutral clothing that can be loved by anyone. Usually there's a lot of ideas in my head for girls, and I've got to pull back and go, no, there are other people that want patterns too.
At the same time, though, girly patterns aren't limited to just girls, let's be honest, these days.
True. Yeah. I feel like I've got a lot in my back catalogue that are girly patterns. And I mean, the tea party dress, I don't know if I'll ever outdo that one in terms of a dress pattern. So I guess, yeah, that's why I've been leaning more towards more like practical everyday clothing is what I've been doing a lot of lately. And that's just purely because that's what my kids want to wear. That's usually my inspiration for creating a pattern is, what do my kids want to wear at the moment? Great, let's design something around that sort of style. That hasn't been girly things lately, particularly Sia doesn't have a say yet, so she wears whatever I put her in. But the older two are not girly girls. Their fashion sense is practical and comfortable, basically.
What I'm all about.
I know, me too. Comfort first,
yeah.
Practical second. Yeah.
Exactly.
And if it looks okay, that's a bonus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Back to the testing side of things. How many testers do you have? And it sounds like you don't do traditional pattern testing where you have a pattern and you get the testers to do it and then bring it out. Sounds like it's a bit more of a collaborative kind of feel with your testers. Is that right?
No, we follow basically that principle, but I guess there's the feedback loop in there where the pattern can evolve based on, there might be options that the testers think aren't necessary or aren't appealing to them or are too hard to construct, and so they get taken out. And then in that process, maybe there's other options they suggest that are better or easier to construct or more appealing or whatever. So yeah, in that respect, I guess it is quite collaborative. But in terms of how many testers, I've got a big pool of testers, but they don't all test every pattern. So usually I try and get at least 2 or 3 testers per size, which can be hard at the like upper and lower end of the range. Like, there's usually a lot of people that can test sizes 1 to 5, and then either side of that is trickier to find. But I usually try and have at least a couple of people for each size to test, which on a pattern that's got 14 sizes, it adds up to a lot of testers.
Wow, that's a lot of testers.
Yeah. It can be a logistical nightmare on a big test. I feel like it's the best way to make sure that the pattern fits well and that people across a whole range of experience levels can make sense of the instructions and sew it easily. It's hard work. Testing is the hardest part, I think, of the whole process, because sometimes there'll be 20 people in a group and they've all got a different experience of the pattern and how it fits, and to try and make sense of all of that and adjust it so that it's going to be like a good fit on a broad range of kids is so hard, because we all know like kids are so many different dimensions. Some are tall and thin, and some are shorter and they're bigger in different areas, and some have a belly and some have a booty, and like it's just, I mean, like all of us, like we're all different shapes and sizes, and it's hard to accommodate all of them in the pattern.
Do you do like a call out for testers ever, or do you kind of just have your set people now and you kind of try and keep to that?
Yeah, I've got my core people. I have done call outs before, and sometimes I get some amazing testers from call outs, and sometimes I get people who are really enthusiastic and then they don't do it. So I find that I need people I can rely on, people that I know are going to follow through and do the test, because if I invite too many new people, it's a gamble. Like I could get to the end of the week-long testing, say, and nobody's done anything, and it's just delayed the pattern release by a week, and then you've got to find new testers. So I've got my core reliable testers that I mainly get the core group from, and then if there's extra sizes that need to be filled, I'll do a call out and just get a couple of new people, and then often those new people are really good, and then they end up joining the core crew that I can rely on. So yeah, usually each test there's a handful of new ones and then a base group of old favorites.
How long does it take from you going, I'm going to create a new pattern, to actually releasing the pattern? Not even like actually finishing the pattern, actually releasing it.
It varies wildly. Like there's some patterns that I've got in my my catalog of that I'm working on, that I've been working on for a couple of years. Like the time that I'm ready to test them, the season might not be right, or my kids are in a mood and they don't want to be part of the fit testing process for that pattern, so I just kind of shelve it and then come back to it later. The one I'm about to start testing now probably has been about 6 months in the works, just trying to get the fit right on my base models before sending it off to the testers. Yeah, it can be a while, but then others are super quick, so just varies.
What's your base model? Because you always have like a base size, don't you?
Yeah, depends on the pattern. So usually I try and get a size that's in the middle of the size range. So if it's a kid's pattern that's 1 to 14, I'll try and do my base size around say 5 or 6. And then if I don't have a kid at the time that's in that size, then I'll find a friend that's got someone that can fit it on. Try it on for a fit test.
Oh, so you're doing proper fit tests on somebody?
Yes.
Not like you don't have like a block or anything like that?
I have mannequins that I've got in all the different kind of size ranges, but I just like to see how it moves on a person. Like you can put it on a mannequin and it'll look perfect, but then you put it on a child and they play in it, and as you watch them play, you can see that it's gaping over here, and like they can't move their arms properly, or all those things that you don't see on a mannequin. So yeah, I always fit test on an actual human body.
Love that. Do you prefer knits or wovens? Because you've got a fairly good range of both.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day, actually. I don't think I could choose a favorite anymore. I was always a woven girl. Took a long time to release my first knit pattern, but since I did, I don't think I've looked back. Knits are just so quick and easy, and they're forgiving too, like in terms of fit and the kids like to wear them. So I don't know, maybe I'm a knit girl now. I don't know. That's a hard one.
I'm totally a knit girl.
Yeah. I feel like the handmade world has shifted so much more towards knits. Like back when I started, no one was making knit stuff. And when I brought out the first knit pattern, the dolman combo, people were terrified, and it was a flop at the start because no one wanted to sew with knits. They were scared of them. And then, I guess fabric suppliers started to sell quality knits, because I think that was part of the problem, like sewing with poor quality knits and then you get a poor quality result. And so with all these awesome new fabric suppliers that are selling good quality knits, it's just exploded now and people are loving it, me included.
There used to be a lot more polyester, I think, in a lot of things.
Yeah, and bad recovery.
What are some new adventures for Tadah? Where are you heading with this? Any secret intel you've got for us?
I gave a few little sneaky clues a little while back of something I've been working on with my kids. It was kind of a little passion project during lockdown that took a long time to actually put into production and finalize, but that's going to be happening soon. But otherwise, look, to be honest, with Sia the age that she is, Tadah is not in a growth stage right now, let's just say. I keep thinking, I've got so many ideas and I've got so much I want to do, but when she's so little, I don't want to lose that time with her. So it's a hard balance at the moment. Like Tadah's my baby as well, but yeah, it's hard to balance them both. So in terms of big, exciting things, no, not really. No, we're just going to keep doing what we do, keep bringing out patterns, keep creating fun little sewing projects, but there's nothing huge on the horizon. Once she goes to school, it'll be pedal to the metal.
Yes, I can't wait.
Yeah, but I've got 3 more years, so I don't get too excited yet.
Yes, but that'll be the same time that Lila's probably going to school as well, so it'll be like, I can get all of that done too.
Yeah.
We'll flourish together.
Yes, we will. My oldest Isla she's almost the same size as me now, so she's a size 6 women's, so she's the start of more of that kind of tween and young adult style patterns that'll be happening.
Oh, that's exciting. See, that's new and exciting.
Yeah. She's really excited to start designing some things with me. So she's been starting to sketch some things. I actually sent one of her dress designs to the pattern drafter just a couple of weeks ago. So we'll be working on that over the summer, which is very exciting. She's my little prodigy. Good. And she's starting to do home ec at school. So I'm like, don't be like me. Pay attention. Actually put in some effort.
Where can everyone find you? How can we get onto your amazing patterns?
I'm on all the socials. Yep. I'm even on TikTok now. It's very basic TikToks, but yeah. Tadah Patterns on everything, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, or our website is tadahdasewing.com.au.
Beautiful. And I'll have all of that linked down below for everyone as well. Awesome. Thank you so much, Lauren, for chatting with us today. And
it's a pleasure.
I can't wait to see what you bring out, especially the tweens. It sounds so exciting because I don't feel like there's that much out there for tweens.
Yeah, it's a hard age group to design for, which is why I'm so excited that Isla wants to be part of it. Because I'm like, yes, you know what the age group wants.
All right, I look forward to talking to you again maybe soon.
Yeah, I hope so.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.